Hi there. My name is Dee Dauphiny. I'm a writer from Maine. I'm coming at you from an RV in Taos, New Mexico, where I'm finishing up my next book. And I've traveled around a lot, about 14 states in the last few years, talking to people about whether I'm doing research for a book. I also will stop and talk to schools and bookstores and universities and book clubs. And I get a lot of the same questions from people who have either written a manuscript or are writing one or want to write one about the writing process and the editorial process. And I thought I'd give a little short video. It's going to be unpolished. I'm not a videographer, I'm not a YouTuber, but of the 6 things that I think will turn off an editor quickly, a lot more than 6 things will turn off an editor. That's kind of their nature. And we'll try to keep you out of the slush pile. So we'll jump right into it. Number 1, transport the editor right away to another place or time or environment. Imagine you're trying to immerse the reader into that time or place. That's pretty important. Editors especially want to be engaged right away. Don't make them search for something in the story or in the lines or in the paragraphs. Make sure the dialogue rolls off the page so that the reader might forget that they're reading. That's kind of important too. A good way to accomplish that is as part of your writing and editorial process, is to corral somebody and find someone who will read it aloud to you. When you hear it read aloud, or when someone reads a manuscript or any writing aloud, any of the dialogue that's kind of clunky will reveal itself, and you can go back and rework those sentences or rewrite the dialogue, whatever you need to do. Number 2, make sure the story is clear and interesting. Don't ever make an editor wonder what you're talking about or where the story's going, especially in the first 8 or 10 pages. That's kind of important. Keep them engaged early on. Number 3, don't focus too much on voice, because nobody really knows what that means anyway. Your personality will shine through in the lines and the paragraphs of the writing anyway, whether it's humor or wisdom or what have you. If your personality sucks and you are at your core like in a cantankerous butthead or something, then you might want to try being like an upscale barista or a supermodel, I think, probably. But my guess is you're a writer. If you're listening to this, you're a writer. So don't focus on the voice, put that there, or worry too much about it. Just write and make it clear and concise, and follow these next 3 things, and you'll be okay. Don't worry about voice. Number 4, edit. They say you should edit 3 or 4 or 5 times. I edit at probably an average of 8 or 10 times. I know people that edit way more than that, way more than a dozen times. We're talking about editing. We're talking about finishing the first draft and then editing 7 or 8 more times. I have to print it out. Don't worry, I recycle the paper, but I go through a lot of toner. But I print it out each time, use a red pen, and a blue pen for notes in the margins. Red pen marks all my editorial marks that I need to change. And after I've gone through it 6 or 7 or 8 times, then I print it out. If I have 3 first readers, I either print it out 3 times, or one of my readers likes to use track changes, so I just send them a Word document. But the other 2 like to have the written manuscript double spaced, right? Double space line. And I send them a red pen, and they mark up every typo, every bit of confusion, every continuity issue, anything they think I would benefit from looking at or changing. It's invaluable. And I have people that have degrees in English or are bibliophiles and just love books, and they think that literature is important and books are important. And they're real serious readers. So they're invaluable. So I stagger when I get them back. One of my readers is retired, so I know she can get through the book in about 7 to 10 days, typically. And so I'll get that manuscript back and I'll go through it over 4 or 5 days and make the changes or not. And then about the time I'm finished with that, I'll get the second one back, and so on. So after about a little over a month, I've gone through all the 3 manuscripts from the three first readers, sorry. And then I'll print it out again, and I'll corral my wife or somebody and have her or him read it aloud to me, whether it takes 10 or 12 hours or so over a couple of days. And as we said before, anything that's clunky, anything that just doesn't roll off the page is revealed, and you can rework those sentences or rewrite the dialogue. That's kind of important. And then I pay for an editor. I get a professional editor, and I pay them. I don't try to save money by foregoing an editor. Then you're just adding to all the crap that's out there on the internet. That's self-published or independently published that hasn't been edited, and it drives people crazy. Don't be that person. Hire, whatever, work an extra weekend or two and hire an editor. I once paid an editor, and get a professional editor that comes with references, or somebody that you know is a good editor or has edited some books of people that you admire, say, or books that you admire. Because I once paid $800 to an editor. It was a first time for me. She hung up a shingle on the internet as an editor, and I was referred to me. But I paid her $800. She recommended 3 edits out of 140,000 words, and I did not make any of those 3 changes. They weren't actually really real edits. They were just things that bothered her. That was part of the story. So that was a waste of money and a good lesson. So then I went back to hiring, paying a little more and getting a real editor. If you're writing a young adult, you might be able to get away with $400 or $500 for a decent editor if it's 40,000 words or less. So that's important. Hire the editor. Number 5, make sure you get your possessive pronouns straight. The his, hers, its, theirs, that drives editors crazy. Each possessive pronoun refers back to the last plural noun, right? If you're not clear on that, just do a little research, study up on it a little bit, make sure that you get that right. If you don't, the editors will throw up in their mouth a little bit, and you're off to the slush pile. So get your possessive pronouns correct, and that helps. Number 6, keep adjectives to a minimum if you can't eliminate them altogether. Editors don't like adjectives. Adjectives have a place in the world. They have a place in literature. But in the last 50 years, editors have kind of banded together and said that there's no place for them almost. Not in dialogue especially. If you write your dialogue well, good dialogue will reveal everything it needs to reveal. It will reveal, describe, enlighten, explain, even smells, whatever, and you can do it all without adjectives. So one of my final edits, I go back and I really look at adjectives. And my last book with 140,000 words, I think had 3 adjectives in the book. And they're not necessary. The good dialogue is necessary, and good dialogue doesn't include adjectives typically. All right, so that's 6. Encompassed in all of that, make sure there's no typos in the first 8 or 10 pages. Well, no typos in the manuscript, but if you're sending in 2 or 3 chapter samples or something with a query letter, that just make sure there's no typos in it. That'll help you hover above that slush pile too. And good luck. If enough people watch this and think it's helpful, then I'll do another 6. If not, I'm off the hook. We'll see. But appreciate it, your time. Appreciate your time, and I really hope that you have success with your writing, because there's nothing quite like it. Good luck. See ya.